It's a piece that I wrote, and it's over to you, Anthony.
Entitled The Mountain Man. I remember turning onto the track road. When you reach this point, suddenly Coos Lake came into view and shimmered in front of you. A fisherman's boat moored at its edge, gently bobbing in the breeze. The turning was little used, more of a private road. It was a curving and upward trail. The greenness of the grass-tufted landscape ahead was interrupted by the greyness of the lichen-speckled rocks, protruding from the ground until they eventually formed great mountains in the distance. The track finding the easiest path in this rough terrain. Further up, I expectedly waited until I had to get out and open the gate. Cold, grey metal, swinging easily back, once unfixed from its place. Some strength required in fixing the bolt back securely. The uneven ground, landscape jagged, rising up around you, kept the place hidden. We ventured up the track past the wall of stone, where a sometime JCB cracked rocks for the wall makers, slowly wandering when the endless task will not finish. Then more open country, sheep either side of the track, pretending not to notice your intrusion, proceeding with caution over the near broken cattle grate and past the bleating sound of lambs. Now, on your right, where the makeshift fields, where in past days the picking of stones marked a man's journey. Then the first sign of human life, a small house, smoke pluming from its chimney, the smell of turf burning bringing that familiar earth brown comfort. In front, a garden surrounded by a low painted wall. A dog barked ferociously behind the wooden door, not accustomed to the sound of unknown visitors. Mary answered the door. Her intelligent, joyous, curious eyes welcomed you in. She had moved from the town to come to this place, wild and desolate, knowing her mother would be cared for too, hoping it would not be forever. "Will you have a cup of tea?" Mary asked as she appeared in the kitchen, in search of the biscuit tin. John O'Brien, her husband, remained talking to my father, asking him about his journey over. His movement and language were cautiously sharp. I sat and listened, drank tea, and answered the short, artfully poised questions from Mary about my mother and London. She had never been to London, but saw the scenes on the satellite TV. She was settled in her green pasture, and yet as refined as an aristocratic lady. John and my father played out a sort of art form, of motion and language. He knew how silence worked. It was a careful art. Poised conversation. My father asked of the funding for the new road surface up to their house, and the forestry commission's planting up around the lowland mountain. This annoyed him, as there were never those kind of trees there before. It was like my father never let go of the place, held it in his mind and heart as somewhere timeless. Taking a drink from their glasses of whiskey, the conversation moved to relatives and funerals, the passing of people they grew up with or lived nearby. John's brother Timmy had been best man at my father's wedding and had converted me to Guinness in one of my earlier trips to the Puck Fair. There was a deep connection in their meeting. Only one other house could be seen across the valley. Up above this house was the cottage where my father was brought up. We didn't venture up there on this occasion, but we had many times before. The mystique of the place from childhood's visits held in my mind. It was rough terrain, but it seemed no better place to be born, with water from the well and a 5-mile trip to school. Coming up here was like a pilgrimage for us, and time was too short until we had to leave. When we were leaving, John and Mary came outside. They quieted the dog who leapt up at my side. The fresh air and wide landscape was stark in comparison to the room we just left. My father and I jumped in the car and made the trail downward. Father silent as he remembered all the news he had received. What another world, I thought, as we passed over the broken cattle grate, and I got out to the open, cold, grey gate below. We came down to the point with Coos Lake on our left, came to a short halt, and then turned onto the main road.
Oh.